Recently, FNGR asked me to review a video Lily Peet made, and also kind of critically examine how this is all turning out. So, as uncomfortable as I am, I'm gonna do that for you right now. After reviewing the video and examining the outlying circumstances, I've come to understand that these are two adults who should be able to make the choice for themselves whether or not they want to be in a relationship. I really find it difficult to condemn Aguilar here for anything he did, considering that it really kind of takes two to tango, and anything that Lily Peet says about the sexual conduct that he has taken also applies to Buttons, considering that this is an individual who is also an adult. If you're going to use the argument that the individual in question is so psychologically damaged that they are not allowed to have agency within their own actions, then you're also making the argument that they clearly need help and should not be in a relationship in the first place, and that they should not be allowed to have a relationship in the first place. The individual in question was actively talking, well, bad about Lily Peet behind her back, was staying in a chat room full of well-renowned shitposters, and hung out with a person like Aguilar for the longest period of time and had no issues up until recently, where it kind of came out and everything ended. And then they decided to release his sexual history on the internet. I can't really imagine how that must feel. I feel like that is a sort of breach of trust, and honestly, I'm not really a big fan of this. Unless if you're willing to release more accurate things that prove that he's some sort of abuser, and then release only the things that prove him to be some sort of abuser, instead of just, you know, saying that he's a sexual deviant and likes weird things, because to be frank, a lot of people like weird things. And, you know, it was between two consenting adults, and why the fuck do we care again? Jesus Christ. Aguilar, go fuck yourself. I don't want to be here anymore.
Now in a schoolhouse rock style jam, I shall now get demonstrative. Okay. Licking a bank is not illegal. Really? Look it up. A tree is not illegal. How? You own private property. Shaving a cat is not illegal. Ooh, this is weird.
Some of you guys may have seen a video up on Pete's channel. There are a couple of ways on how to handle this one. Oh, this video dropped on April 1st. Ha, you cheeky bitch. And believe it or not, when me and my girlfriend broke up, I had a couple of people assuming this was just a prank. If you're getting a chuckle out of this, cheers. That's probably going to be a reoccurring theme at some point. Another option I have is I can claim that the video is an absolute lie. I could say that the screenshots are doctored, but at the time of writing the script, I haven't seen the video. I could rely on my fans' devotion and people's overwhelming disdain for Pete to win the day. That might work before I end up on internet insanity, which, hey, let's not rule anything out just yet. Or finally, I can own up to it. So here we go. This all started back May 4th, 2017. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. Vita Pony had made a video called On Your High Horse Buttons, starring Jase.
Quite know what's going on because I spent 36 hours of the last 3 days working. So
It's all understandable, sir.
Sir!
Well,
Sorry,
bless your heart.
I've told Vita this story, started here, more or less, and Buttons has told Vita the same thing, more or less. Despite dating Buttons and being a generally scrappy guy, I've never made a response to this video. There's a reason for that. It's more or less true. Unfortunate, it's brutal, and perhaps not the best way I would have handled things personally. Till this day, I've always been confused by just how many moms Buttons really has.
I'm gonna be on much today. It's the day my mom died 2 years ago, and I need the day to properly feel my emotions, seeing as last year I wasn't able to as I had school. I'm going to make eggplant parm like she used to and watch her favorite movie. I love you all and thank you for the support thus far.
Well shit, that's a bit shitty. I feel kind of bad now. Wait a second.
To my watchers and friends, I'm taking leave for a while. My surrogate mom just died of breast cancer, and I need to grieve. I love you all.
Uh-oh. I see a contradiction. The first post was published on April 19th. This one? May 19th. Looks like dear old Buttons missed her mom's death day by a month. You know, just a little mistake.
Well, things keep getting better. So, my foster mom, the only one out of like 35 homes who's cared about me, got into a car crash and is in the hospital. Wow. Thanks, universe. Damn it, I don't even know what to say.
Wait, 35 foster homes?
Whether she's role-playing, lying, or insane, I can't say to any certain degree on that matter. But we're not here to talk about my girlfriend's mental capacity. Keeping in mind, Buttons is 19. I think we might have started dating when she was 18, but she was certainly legal. So, off to the side, will I be making some kind of revenge hit video on Buttons? I really don't have to, it already exists. When this video was flagged down, I assisted Vito getting it put back up, even when I was dating Buttons, and put him in touch with Trusted Flagger on YouTube, who's a YouTube hero. You can find him on Twitter. I'm one of those guys who's interested in the letter of the law. So, 2 weeks before my girlfriend came to visit, my now ex, I was dealing with a little bit of burnout. The Brony known as Mimkage suggested that we take a 1-week break. I liked the idea, but I wasn't sure if Buttons could handle it, so I made a counteroffer. I couldn't handle all of my drama as well as Buttons, and I just wanted her to hold off her stuff for 1 week. We wouldn't have to avoid each other, and she agreed, but that never happened. By the time she came out, I was pretty fried. Day 2 into the visit, she complained about being in pain, so early in the morning, about 9 a.m., I took her to the hospital. She was there for 12 hours. She even had an IV put in her arm. The official diagnosis, whether you choose to believe it or not, was that she had an anxiety attack. I am not a doctor. I don't have a medical degree. I did leave the hospital a couple of times to get lunch and run back to the house a couple of times. And you can argue that I could have stayed the whole time. I'd at least argue that I needed that lunch break, but yeah, maybe I could have stayed a bit more. I'm just being transparent with all you guys. The next 3 days, I presume we had a good time. Buttons can argue this point if she wants to. By the end of the visit, I really needed a break. Sadly, Buttons got stuck on her bus a whole extra day. It was a 1.5 day, 2-day travel normal, so it ended up being like 2.5 days. You'll have to ask her. It wasn't her fault, so I kept in touch and I postponed asking, for needing that break. And after that, I think that she came down with being sick for the week, juggling work and whatnot. It felt like it would have been a dick move to speak up at that point and be like, hey, I really need that break. I'm really burned out. So I put it off. Now, let's get to the juicy part. It's the weekend. I did nudge Buttons about something that she wasn't into, and she said if I ever brought it up again that she'd dump me. So, some way, somehow, that gave me the courage, the wherewithal to ask for that break, that 1 week off. And she proceeded to argue with me about it. And after that, I just wanted out of the relationship. I tried doing that in PM. I was tired and I was exhausted. I'm a pretty bitchy person on the weekend. It's because I work 12-hour shifts. And she wasn't being receptive, so I went into limbo. That's my Skype chat group, and told her to get out. She eventually did, and here we are. Now, some of you guys might be like, well, you're leaving some stuff out. You're not exactly addressing certain topics. Okay. I and the 19-year-old Buttons have had erotic roleplays. Yeah, I see some hands in the audience. That's a good start. I know some of you guys are going, come on, that's a good start. And yeah, I was fine leaving this alone, but once the cat's out of the bag, Buttons liked being called daddy. Now, before we go any further, I want to state for the record, none of my other exes are into anything weird. Please don't bully or harass any of them. Now, some of you guys are pulling back right now. If you're uncomfortable, just know before you go, I did nothing illegal. And you're free to go. And I'm going to give you a good 5 seconds to get out of here if you're not comfy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I didn't entirely hate the experiences. I didn't dump Buttons based off of her saying no to any fetish. There were plenty of things that she teased online that didn't translate to in real life. And that's fine. Some fantasies are just fantasies. Just for example, and this is more on the tame side, she brought a bottle with her. Now, either she forgot to bring it up, or she didn't feel comfortable. Now, obviously, there's some things I'd prefer not to tell you, and everything about Buttons' kinks. My advice to Buttons is, if you stop vomit dumping all of your information to literally everyone, one of my reasons that I called it a wrap when I did, you're some way, somehow, even worse at keeping secrets than I am. So if you want to say FNGR, you're a shitty human being because you lack the ability to communicate clearly with your girlfriend. Weird, I always thought it was because of negligence. I'm still seeing a hand up in the background of the discussion, someone's screaming about kinks. Oh yeah, I am a total weirdo. I haven't gone through everything that's up on Buttons' DeviantArt. She's sent 80 pages of text to several of my friends, including Kichi FIM, Lilac Galaxy, Vita, etc., etc. And no one, barring Buttons, has seen fit to unfriend me. Might I add, some of these people were the same ones who ran Toon Critic off. In fact, Solar Flare was in Toon Critic's call, and he doesn't care for Buttons at all. I'd suggest you guys looking for his comment down below. If you guys want to meme the hell out of me, go ahead. In fact, tweet at me your best FNGR memes. Make sure they're YouTube friendly, and I'll make a video including you citing your work. I have no intention of Kurt Eichenwalling this. I'm not going to tell you some horse shit like, I'm asexual or fetishes fascinate me. No, bullshit. Final thoughts. The United States age of consent is 18. There are some states where it's lower, but none where it's higher than 18. In Canada, and I will have a link and an annotation down below, Canada's age of consent has been raised by 2 years. This was a citation back in 2008 from CBC News, May 1st, 2008. The age of consent in Canada is 18. The rumor and innuendo about Jerry's girlfriend as they started dating was 17. Good luck in getting a response as detailed as the one I gave here on that matter. In closing, sadly, the fandom is a bit past the point of I need you guys just to trust me. And I've been told that thoughtbubblepony wants to keep an eye on me. And to Brittany, I say knock yourself out. She's in limbo. She's asserted some very strong allegations about Lily Pete, which I interviewed her back in How Not to Brony 50. She's been nothing but professional every time I've talked with her. She's free to talk to any of my friends. I feel like sharing this here. This is a screenshot from Sega Sisters GoFundMe where Lily, Orchid, and Patchwork Heart donated a pricely sum of $220. This is public information after all. This is how Vita winded up getting Button's IRL name, and was very adamant this wasn't doxing. The juicy part here is this. After Jerry and crew donated the money to Sega Sister, she just went right back to putting Pete right back on blast for writing fics with alleged pedophilia. Here is a confession where Pete admits to writing the fic.
When I started this series, I had every intention on doing something special for Halloween, and nothing could be better than taking a truly bizarre and messed up fanfic and picking through it like an amphetamine-fueled chimp. But which one? There's so many. Fallout Equestria? That's too long. Fall of Equestria? No. Equestrian pony meat business? I think I'll break my rating limits. Can't do Stockholm, I wrote that one. Can't do Stockholm, I wrote that one. Can't do Stockholm, I wrote that one.
There's clearly discussions that the work has been edited. You're free to have your own discussion down below. As for Buttons, I'm not suggesting that there is something medically wrong here. After all, I did take her to the hospital, and just because the doctor said that she was fine, well, minus the panic attack, show of hands to anyone who completely trusts doctors. I'll say this. I'll trust modern medicine over where Buttons is getting advice now. I won't be shocked if Buttons is talked out of therapy in favor of Tumblr advice. That might have been the shame if I would have just hung in there a little bit longer for the therapy. Maybe everything would have been alright. It is what it is now. I'll also be surprised if Buttons is still in Pete's Discord in a month. It takes a lot of patience to lump Buttons' behavior. And you don't have to ask me. Ask Pastel Pros, ask Kichi FIM, Solar Flare, Irish John, Dog-Eye Crimson, etc. And no, I'm not asking you to dogpile Buttons. I'm just letting you know there was a reason I wanted out. And I'm positive if you hung out with Buttons for any length of time, you'll see. Buttons is incapable of taking direction or curtailing her behavior in ways that doesn't upset people. Again, you can ask around about that one as well. Now I'm going to get back to being a jackass.
To those that did, and you know who you are, well done. That is the action of someone who cares and who views their own complacency in Zach's behavior as a mistake that needs correcting. Those are the people who will not make this mistake again, and I applaud that. But we're not here to talk about you. We don't need to, you're already doing fine. We're here to talk about this